Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Unquestionably Raw podcast. Tonight, we are previewing the Portland Trailblazers and their upcoming 2016-2017 season. With us again is special guest Keith Smith. Keith, thanks for coming back on with us.
Happy to be here.
Absolutely. So we're going to roll right into you, Keith, with the first question. It's a three-parter. So the first part of the question is kind of looking at the Blazers' depth chart, looking at some of the offseason acquisitions, Festus Ezeli from Golden State, Evan Turner from Boston. They re-signed Mo Harkless and Alan Crabb. Looking at the starting five, how do you see that kind of playing out as far as each player's role and kind of what they're going to bring?
So they'll start definitely Lillard and McCollum in the backcourt, Plumlee at center. Aminu is almost definitely going to be the four. And then they haven't locked in yet to a small forward from everything I've been reading and hearing. But it looks like most people think they're probably going to go with Mo Harkless because the team closed so well with him as a small forward last year after they had some injuries and they moved Vonleh to the bench and then slid Harkless into the starting five. That's when they were good all year, but that's when they really kind of took it to a new level. And Harkless has played pretty well. Crabb got a couple starts, I think, this preseason. I know he at least started one game, but that was more of just a mix and match, getting guys rest thing. They like him off the bench. And Evan Turner's really going to more function as the primary point guard off the bench. They don't. That's the one spot where they're really lacking. It's Shabazz Napier, who they got from the Magic this offseason when the Magic were just trying to clear some roster room. And hasn't shown enough to be a true backup. So it looks like Turner's going to get most of those minutes, which they're really excited about. He'll guard opposing small forwards, but he'll be in there really handling the ball and allowing Lillard and McCollum both to play off the ball some, which I know they're really excited about.
Nice. Gonzo, what do you think of the starting five?
I think it's going to be Lillard, McCollum, Aminu, Plumlee. I'm going to go. If I was the Portland Trailblazers, I would go more Harkless. Evan Turner hasn't showed me pretty much anything in the NBA so far. I was really expecting Evan Turner to be like really, really, really good, and right now he's looking like the Ryan Leaf of basketball to me.
Damn.
He does not look like the NBA player we thought he was going to be. But I think he will be the backup point guard. I'm going to agree with Keith on that one. I think Shabazz Napier, he hasn't proved that he's a true point guard in the NBA. I mean, I think the highlight of his whole career, college and pro, is probably the NCAA championship game, maybe, and that's about it. I mean, so I don't even think he's a great point guard, but that's why I guess that's why they got Evan Turner, because he can't handle the ball. I like Alan Crabb. I think he can be a really, really good sixth man off the bench. Ed Davis, he brings energy, rebounding. I like Myers Leonard as well. But, I mean, the Portland Trailblazers are the Portland Trailblazers, and they are in the Western Conference. So,
Okay. Matt, what do you think of the starting five?
First, I'm going to start off today with my plug. We have Gatorade Propel again, this time grape. That's what we're working with today. Grape. There we go.
Trying to get that sponsorship. So.
That's right. Gatorade. If you hear me, if you're seeing, let us know. I agree. I with the starting lineup pretty much. I mean, I'd like to see at some point. I want to see Evan Turner at the point with McCollum and Lillard on the wings. You can run a lot of floppy action with those guys, and now you got two guys that can run off those pin downs and all that good stuff. And now you just got to, the defense is going to have to pick their poison now. And I mean, Evan Turner might be like their best playmaker as far as like getting other guys involved, because he doesn't really try to score that much. So I really like that. And on the bench, I think, you'll see, I think all three guys, the two guards with Turner, all of them will probably at some point be out there with the bench, handling the ball and being the primary playmaker. I like Ed Davis, good hustle guy, good defense. Myers Leonard can stretch the floor with his 3-point shooting. Crabb, I really like Crabb. Another one can defend, shoot the ball. Really showed a lot against Golden State in the playoffs last year. And then Noah Vonleh, I really like him, but he hasn't shown much. But the potential is there. And I hope he can really make a step forward this year and get some rotation minutes because he's got a lot of talent.
Absolutely. Keith, I'm going to go back to you for just a second because I want to tie you into a couple of the bench guys. So looking at Myers Leonard, he's coming back from injury this season. Ed Davis, we know he's rebounding, can get you some block shots. Shabazz Napier has had a very good preseason, has stepped up very well. Even Noah Vonleh has actually looked pretty good this preseason. What do you foresee as far as roles for Vonleh, Napier, and Myers Leonard specifically?
Yeah, I think it's going to be – I think Napier is going to see some minutes just out of not wanting to wear down either Turner off the bench or Lillard or McCollum. So I think you'll see him get maybe 10, 12 minutes a night early in the season, probably play towards the end of the first and third quarters, a couple minutes into the fourth, and then he'll make way as it gets kind of more into crunch time. And then for the bigs, Leonard's going to be the primary backup center just because Ezeli's not ready yet. He's progressing. He's starting to practice, starting to do a little bit more now. And I think it's going to be kind of a combo between the two of them, what they need. I think what they'll do is if they need defense and rebounding, they'll go to Ezeli. If they want a little more offense, they'll go to Leonard off the bench there. And then Ed Davis is the prime backup big man, can play both the 4 and the 5, block shots and rebound. So that was one of the best things Terry Stotts did last year, was made use of his bench. And a big part of that was Alan Crabb. He's, I think Gonzo said it right. They're a Western Conference team. A lot of the games don't start till 10:30 at night on the East Coast. I don't think people see them. Or if they do, they maybe catch the first quarter, and Alan Crabb might not even be in yet. So I think when people saw that offer sheet that Brooklyn gave him, people were like, who? What is Brooklyn doing? Alan Crabb's good. Mm-hmm. He can really shoot the ball. And he's actually a better ball handler and playmaker than he's given credit for. And he had to do that at times on the second unit when they struggled at backup point guard most of the last season. So I think the hopeful, Matt hit it. He had kind of his coming out party in the playoffs. And hopefully people realize now just how good of a player he is. And it's one of those things where Portland has really good depth. And the nice thing about their depth is it's depth with defined roles. It's not just a whole bunch of good players that Terry Stotts then has to try to keep happy and manage minutes for. He's got young guys who, 10, 15 minutes a night, they got to be happy with that. But it keeps them hungry and scrapping for more and, coming from there. And Vonleh started, I want to say 50 games last year, probably somewhere in that range for them. And so I think, he's going to have to step up. They challenged him, right? Charlotte got rid of him already. Portland's now, in effect, replaced him in the starting 5. So at some point he's going to have to step up, and he has looked good this preseason. And I want to touch on one more thing that Matt hit on, which is really cool. They ran an action on consecutive trips the other night where they ran Lillard and McCollum one behind the other through a staggered baseline screen, and McCollum peeled off and went to the top of the key while Lillard flared to the wing with Turner at the top of the key, and they ended up getting a jump shot out of it. I believe it was Lillard took the jumper. And then they ran the same action on the next time, and the guards and wings for the other side and the bigs hedged and went out to the 2 guards that Turner just was completely wide open to go to the basket with no one standing there at all. So Terry Stotts is going to have some fun drawing up some plays here.
It's funny because, and Pete, you and I talked about this, and when Evan Turner first signed, we were like, what the hell is Portland doing? But then the more and more you really look at it, you're like, that was a genius signing.
Yeah.
I think that's really going to help them.
There's a lot of money, but
it's a lot of money, but at the same time, it's really going to elevate McCollum, and then it gives a little bit of ball handling responsibility rest to Damian Lillard, which is going to be key. With Turner obviously being a 76ers fan, he came out as a point guard out of Ohio State. Many expectations were on him, were a little bit, obviously being as high picked as he was, expectations were going to be there. But I think they were a little bit unrealistic because fans were expecting, the next Andre Iguodala, let's score at will, and that's just not Evan Turner's game. Yeah. He's, had a very good year under Brad Stevens. So I questioned in the offseason with the signing, I'm like, oh, Evan Turner was just a system guy under Brad Stevens. I don't know. And then the more I kind of got to see, bringing back Alan Crabb, which I was high on. I wanted the 76ers to sign him, but unfortunately it didn't work out. But signing Alan Crabb and then kind of getting, more research as far as Miles Leonard being a shooter from the outside, Noah Vonleh being able to step out. You got all these shooters, so it gives all these options to Evan Turner to just distribute. He doesn't have to score. If he scores 6 points, in a game, so be it. And I think he's going to look, really well in that offense. And a guy who I want to actually see step up this season is Plumlee. He has to have a little bit better season because you've got a guy like Ed Davis that can come in and, handle, defense at the rim, can rebound for you. So, he's right on Plumlee's heels. Plumlee basically, I think I read correctly that he's adding a kind of a mid-range shot, a little bit more post ability this year. So we'll have to see if it comes. And then with Vonleh, I think he can kind of steal some minutes as the season progresses because you're going to see injuries to different guys. Miles Leonard has a history of being hurt. Festus Ezeli's not quite, right.
He's hurt every year.
Yeah, and he's hurt every year. So I think Vonleh can kind of come in and he can put up some points. Now that he can actually shoot from the outside pretty consistently, I think it's all about confidence with him. I think if he gets the minutes, just keep the confidence up and go from there. But, Keith, going back to you, the next part of the question, we kind of already talked about Evan Turner and Mo Harkless. So looking at the 15th spot, you've got Grant Jarrett, who's looked pretty solid, I would say, this preseason. You got Greg Steemsma, who the team seems to be very high on. And then a guy that's has not played very much, but is a little bit intriguing to me is Tim Quarterman. Who do you see securing that 15th spot?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Luis Montero, and then they just waived him yesterday or the day before. And that was a little bit of a surprise. He had done some nice things for them over the course of the last couple seasons. So I struggle with this one. They don't really need Steemsma. They have enough bigs as it is already. That spot's getting a little crowded. Grant Jarrett's pretty much a pure power forward. Again, a little crowded at that position. So I want to say Tim Quarterman probably has the best chance, but he just hasn't done much this preseason. But I liked his game at LSU. I don't think they necessarily – I mean, that LSU team was a mess, and I don't think they really used him well. And once they really said, all right, we're just going to let Simmons handle it and do all of the work with the ball, Quarterman's he's no good when he's off the ball. He's not going to shine there. So I think he can play. I'd like to see him get a chance. One thing that Portland struggles with is they don't have their own D-League team. So it's a challenge. Those end of the roster guys, they either need to work out an agreement with somebody else to get them over there, or they just end up kind of sitting and hanging out. So we'll see what happens with them. But it's whoever it is, we're not going to see him very often.
Yeah, I pretty much assume that. A good thing that you brought up just a second ago is about not having their own D-League team, because you've got guys like Jake Layman and then Pat Connaughton that they have from last year. Those guys need some minutes to develop as well. So I don't know where that's going to come from, especially with McCollum, Crabb, Lillard, Napier, all right there. And then you've got Harkless, of course, on the wing, and Turner taking minutes away from Layman. So, not really sure where they're going to kind of get development minutes. So that'll be interesting. Gonzo, you have any thoughts on Grant Jarrett, Greg Steemsma, or Tim Quarterman making the team?
You can flip a coin, rock, paper, scissors, roll the dice, whichever guy you want. He's the 15th man on the roster. He probably won't play much but in garbage time. So whoever you want.
There you go. Matt, any thoughts?
Hell, you could not give a 15, just kind of keep that spot open. You could always sign a guy like any of them. Now, obviously, we know a little bit of what Steemsma can do in the NBA because he was with Boston and actually played pretty well as a rookie, blocked shots for him. So, but other than that, maybe
I think compared him to Bill Russell.
Yeah, exactly. Steemsma was the man. He was the man when he was in Boston. The second coming. That's right. So, but you could always just leave it open.
Yeah,
And just sign a guy. You could sign Steamsma 2 months from now if you needed to, or any of those other guys.
Yeah, technically you could. I think if I had to take a guess on who probably would end up securing it, I would say probably Steamsma, just for the having a little bit, more veteran presence, and then it kind of gives you an extra insurance if there was,
because they've got some guys who get
injuries.
because they got two big guys who get hurt every year.
Yeah, I think right now Myers Leonard has a back issue that's kept him out the last few days. So I think it'll depend on, if he's not ready to go by the end of the week, it could very well be Steamsma, just to be on the safe side. And then, he could be on the roster for 3 weeks to start the year and then cut loose.
Yeah, and then Grant Jarrett, he's intriguing because he can stretch the floor, and had an exciting game the other, I think it was 2 games ago, where he hit a couple big shots, and everybody's like, oh, he's definitely going to make the team. But all along, I'm just like, none of these guys excite me. So, basically they're not going to play. But I just wanted to throw it out there just for the sake of the podcast, just to kind of see where we're at with that. Rolling into the next question. So obviously Terry Stotts is going to be counted on this season to incorporate Evan Turner into the game plan while maximizing C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard. Keith, what do you look for out of the Blazers on both sides of the ball this season, now that kind of the team is above the low expectations of last season and kind of on other teams' radar?
Pete, you did a good job putting all these questions together, and we stepped all over them, answering them and talking all about what they're going to run. So I will say, I think covered a lot of what they're going to do on the offensive end. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to make a concerted effort to get out and run a little bit more this year. They used to be back in the 90s, the heydays of the Blazers. That was their calling card, was they were always one of the best rebounding teams in the league, and then get out and run and get up and down the floor. So I think they want to do that a little bit more, and they've got some rebounders that can do it. They're obviously going to play a lot of 4 out, 1 in, because they've got shooters all around the perimeter there, no matter almost whatever lineup they go with. And then on the defensive end, that's where I think Turner will help them a lot, because I think when he's in the game, he gives them the ability to switch. Basically, same with Aminu. Aminu is one of my favorite guys. I loved that signing for them last year. So versatile. He can really defend 1 through 4, which is something very few guys can actually do in the league. He's added an outside shot. He's really good. So they're going to be able to switch a lot on defense. And I think you're going to see them trap a lot, switch, get guys moving around, try to force turnovers, really mess things up. Because one thing that they're lacking is they don't have great rim protection. They don't have Ezeli can bring them that if he can ever get healthy and play. But other than him and Ed Davis when he's on the floor. But out of the starting 5, they don't have a really good rim protector, so I think they're going to try to manufacture the defense a little bit more, force turnovers, but be sound, block guys out, get rebounds, and get out and run.
Absolutely. Gonzo, any thoughts on the defense, since we kind of covered a little bit of the offense?
That's something I hope to see. I hope to see more defense from this team. Like Keith said, I have to agree. He knows exactly what he's talking about. Like, this roster, they have a lot of young guys who can run. You got Lillard, McCollum, Plumlee can run, Aminu can run, Myers Leonard can run, Ed Davis. Just about everybody on this roster can run the floor. And they're young. The question is going to be the defense. And they really don't have a rim protector except for Festus, but I'm not counting him to be healthy that much this year, because he hasn't been healthy that much in the past. So I'm not expecting to be there that often. So I would hope they're going to be more scrappy this year, get more steals, I assume, because they don't have a rim protector at all. So, But I think they'll be pretty much what we've seen last year with the Blazers. I think they might be a little better. Shooting might be a tad bit better, but I expect them to be in the same spot pretty much.
Okay. Matt, any thoughts?
Well, we're going to go to our offensive rating and our defensive rating. Offensive rating, 6th in the NBA last year. It's going to be fine. We're not going to worry about the offense. Probably be maybe a little bit better, move into the top 5 this year with the addition of Evan Turner and the improvement of Vonleh and guys like that. Defensive rating, though, 19th if they want to get out of that mid-tier Western Conference team and join the elite, they're going to have to improve on it. And they've got guys who are capable of being good defenders. Aminu, Harkless can be a good defender. Alan Crabb. You've got guys like that who can get out there and play some defense. But I think a lot of it, it's just they're off their ability to rebound and push. I think they're going to have to really pick the pace up. But defensively, they're going to have to improve. I think they're just going to have to get after it. And Ezeli has to stay healthy so he can get in there and protect the rim like everyone has said, because they just did not have that. And I think Plumlee should be able to block some shots for him as well. He's another guy who can get after it defensively. They've got some pieces there. Ed Davis. I think they just have to get after it and want to play defense and just grind it out. And then if they can improve if they can get into the top 10 defensively, it's going to be a scary team.
Absolutely. I think credit has to be given to Neil O'Shea for what he's done to kind of put this team together. A couple of years ago, obviously with LaMarcus Aldridge leaving, last season, LaMarcus Aldridge not being there, everybody's like, well, what's going to happen to this Blazers team? And just putting those pieces around him, who would have thought a guy like Alan Crabb would have stepped in, Mo Harkless, those kind of guys. And Al-Farouq Aminu has really stepped in. He's going to play the power forward role this season, and he's athletic and can defend as well. The key for him is going to be to work on that perimeter shot and just being able to finish at the rim. Same with Mason Plumlee. Shaky very much at the rim. He's a pick and roll player, so he's going to have to get better there. Offensively, obviously, you're going to have Damian Lillard, being able to be a knockdown shooter. His playmaking is going to have to be a little bit better, especially if the minutes that Evan Turner's not on the floor. And C.J. McCollum's a perfect complement to Damian Lillard. Efficient scorer. I just want to see that be a little bit more consistent and take kind of a little bit step up. He averaged about 21 a game last year. Maybe he can bump that up a couple more points and bump the assists up to kind of help on the offensive end as well. Defensively, they're going to have to be able to use some of their athleticism to defend, and they're going to have, Matt, as you said, Mason Plumlee block shots because Ed Davis, coming off the bench, I mean, he can rebound and he can block, but he's not the starter, so they're really going to have to look for Plumlee to step up and Aminu to be able to defend as well. The question is going to be, can he defend fours, all season long? And Harkless is athletic and can defend as well, but he's going to be more of your perimeter defender, I think, over Aminu. I guess maybe they could switch, but just all depends there. So going in to the third question, I know we talked about Alan Crabb a little bit, but I want to talk about the continued development of C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard. So, Keith, what do you think specifically both McCollum and Lillard have to do this season in order to elevate their game so that the Blazers can kind of get a little bit of a leg up on last season?
Yeah, I think it's what we just talked about. They have to defend. Lillard's starting to get a little bit of that James Harden reputation, right? He's all out on one floor and all not there on the other end. And that's not where you want to be. And the good thing was, I think last season, once he was comfortable with, hey, I've got some teammates, they can do some stuff, we started to see him play a little bit better defensively. And he's never going to be a great defender. He's never going to be a top, amongst the point guards. He's not going to be a Chris Paul or a Marcus Smart type or anything like that. But he has the skills to at least give a little bit better of an effort. It used to be he'd get, you'd put him in pick and roll because he'd get picked, and then he just, wherever the pick was, he'd stick and stay there forever. So he can fight through a little bit more. That'd be helpful. I also think McCollum's a little bit of the same thing, a little undersized for his position, so he has to fight a little harder to get things done. And and then you mentioned Crab too. He does actually, I think, of the group, he's probably the best defender. He's just got a little bit more size, a little more length, and he's fairly quick. So that's, for me, that's the big thing they need to do, because these guys are probably not going to get much better offensively. They're already really good. If they start getting much better, you're starting to talk about some all-time play. And so I think it's just a little more and it's not. It's focus, right? That's what it needs to be. It's just focus on that end of the floor, paying attention, executing whatever the scheme is, and doing what the coach asks, and not just losing track of it and waiting for that next offensive possession.
Absolutely. Gonzo, any thoughts on what you think Lillard and McCollum maybe need to do to improve either on offense or defense?
Defense, obviously. I'm going to say, secondly, if they're going to have Evan Turner in there, they're going to have to be able to score more consistently without the ball, and coming off screens. I would assume, because if you look at McCollum and Lillard's kind of ball play, they're kind of like ISO guys, kind of. Not saying they can't pass, because I think that's what I'm going to say. Thirdly, that I think that they could be better passers, but I want to see them score more, letting somebody else distribute the ball, and coming off a screen or two, maybe scoring sometimes. But defense is the main thing. Like, this team, honestly, like I say, they can score. They can put the ball in the basket. They can do that. What they need now, if they want to be elite, they have to step the defense up. I think defense is, for a lot of these young teams that are up and coming, I think defense is the most important thing now, because it's a lot of teams that have a lot of offense and a lot of skilled offensive players, but there's a lot of them lacking great defensive play. And I'm not talking about necessarily have to be a lockdown one-on-one defender, but sometimes great team defenders. There's a lot of guys who are not great team defenders. And if you can play within the scheme and do the things the coaches need you to do, sometimes just being a pesky defender is good enough. You might not get a lot of steals, but the fact you can agitate people enough to get them to go to the wrong spot on the floor that they're not comfortable going to, and just forcing up a bad shot, that helps. So defense is priority.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, what's your thoughts?
I'm going to echo a lot of what's been said. Obviously, with McCollum and Lillard just improving on the playmaking, because obviously just scoring the ball, there's not much. They're not going to get much. Maybe you can get a little more efficient, up your field goal percentage a little bit, take better shots. But I think defensively, it's an effort thing. They're capable defenders. They can move. They can move their feet. They're quick. So it's an effort thing and focus, as Keith said. And I think Crab is going to be a really good defender. He showed a little bit defensively against Golden State guarding Klay Thompson, stepping out on Curry a little bit. So I think he's going to be fine. But I think with Evan Turner coming over, I think that actually will help them a little bit. So a guy like Lillard, he doesn't have to do everything on offense now. He doesn't have to, so he can save some of that energy and use it for the defensive end. Because I think that's what you saw a lot with Harden in Houston the last few years. He exerts so much energy on the offensive end because he had to, that he just, he basically rested on defense. And you can't do that. That's just unacceptable. And I think, and I know Lillard does not want to be into the conversations with James Harden on the defensive end. That's you got to have some pride.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I think the biggest thing is Damian Lillard first. He's going to have to rely on his teammates. It's going to really help him. And if you're the Blazers front office, you're thinking it better help, because Evan Turner being there at basically 4 years, $70 million, that's a lot of money for a backup. So he's going to have to help Lillard, kind of get spots to be able to score. We know that. But on the other side of things, Lillard is going to have to help open things up for some other guys with, facilitating and kind of picking his spots when he scores. With McCollum, it's just, like I said earlier, it's consistency. Everything else you guys covered, so I don't really have to, dive in any more than you guys already have. So going into the fourth question, obviously the expectations is to remain one of the upper seeds in the playoffs in the Western Conference. where do you see them finishing, Keith? Because I think we kind of talked about, what they need to do this season, but where do you see them finishing in the West?
I think they're probably, at this point, they're my pick to win their division. Oklahoma City's going to take a step back, and Utah, unfortunately, they were going to be right there. That was going to be neck and neck, but now Gordon Hayward's hurt. Derek Favors is already banged up. Just not a good start injury-wise for them. I don't think Minnesota's ready, and then Denver's probably not ready. So I think Portland's got a really good chance to take control of this division, win the division, get a top 3 or 4 seed. And then from there, it's just going to be about the matchup for them once the playoffs come. If it's the right matchups, they can get it done. If not, then it could be another early exit. But to be honest, I think that's okay for them. They don't need to take too huge a step. This is a team last year we're talking about being potentially as bad as Philadelphia. Everybody thought they were going to be horrible, and they were terrific. All last year right from the jump. And so I think that's huge. If you build off what they got last year, and last year was a lot of guys feeling their way, trying to put it together, figure things out. And if they can build off that, have another good season, maybe win another playoff series, and then it's going to be time to start stepping forward.
Absolutely. Gonzo, where do you have the Blazers finishing in the West?
I got them finishing 4th.
4th? Okay.
Actually, yeah, 4th in the West. I got to finish 4th in the West. If they, like I said, they have the scoring. If they're going to play defense, and be consistent with being a good defensive team, I think they could easily be 4th. I think that with defense added and it being a main focus, I think they can be better than Houston. I think they can be better than the Clippers as well.
Nice. Okay. Matt, what's your thoughts on where they're going to be?
Obviously, we know who I would have 1 and 2 right now. I'm not going to, I had the Clippers 3, I had OKC 4, I had the Rockets 5. So I think Portland 6th right now, 19th in defensive rating. I don't know how much the pieces are there to improve on that. I don't know if they will though. So until I see more of them this season, I have to slide them in at 6. I don't think they're going to be better than the Rockets right now. So I've got them at 6.
Okay. I've got them finishing 5th again. Last year, we all know, even though the Clippers were injured, they still shocked a lot of people. 44-win season. I think they're right around in that range. 44 to 46 wins, somewhere right teetering right there. Could be more if they get a lot out of Evan Turner, Alan Crabb, some of those guys. But right now, 5th seed is kind of where I have them. Keith, give me 3 keys that you think may make or break the Blazers.
All right, I'm not going to go in depth on it, but can they defend? That would be the big one. Second is a lot of guys got paid this summer. Turner got paid, Crabb got paid. McCollum signed his extension. Lillard's extension kicks in this year. Plumlee's going to need paid. So is it one of those where guys got their money? Are they content now? Or do they continue to push themselves? That's going to be a challenge for the coaching staff. And then just can they get quality big man play outside of Aminu, who's kind of masquerading as a 4. I guess he's this new age stretch 4. He's fine there. But can they get quality big man play? Can Plumlee be a little bit better? Can they get something out of Aziri? Can Leonard step up? He also got paid, right? So it's going to be one of those. Those are the 3 things. It's can one of those bigs step forward and give them consistent play on both ends of the floor?
Okay, Gonzo, what's some keys for you?
Keys for me: defense first, obviously. 2, bench play. Consistent bench play. I know Crabb can bring it, but the rest of his roster on the bench, Ed Davis can bring hustle, but I'm going to be more specific. Scoring consistency from the bench. Like I said, we know Crabb can bring it. Can Shabazz Napier be a good jump shooter coming off the bench? Can Noah Vonleh finally kind of become this shooter that they so-called said he was supposed to be from Indiana? Because a lot of people compared him to Chris Bosh. Like if you go back and read a lot of those papers, they compared him to like a Chris Bosh, and I haven't seen that yet. I want to see it, and that'll be nice to see. A third, I don't really have a third key. I just think that if they can stick to those two things and be good at those, they can make their season very well. And if they fail at any one of those, they can make their season very bad. They can break it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Matt, what's some keys for you?
Obviously, one's going to be the defense, as I said earlier, 19th in defensive rating. You know, they're able to get in there in the top 5 last year because they were so good offensively. So obviously, they're going to have to improve on the defensive end. And if they don't, that's why I have them at 6. I just don't think they're going to be in that upper echelon in the West if they don't get better defensively. 2, I think, is the bench play, but more specifically, guys like Von Lay, Crab, the continued improvement of those guys, you know, and Evan Turner being able to handle the ball and facilitate for those guys. I think that's going to be big. And then third is I'm actually with Keith on this, is guys, you know, being content because they got paid. Are they going to continue to focus in? Because we don't want a bunch of Mo Taylors on the team. You know, he got paid by the Rockets, and he didn't do anything after that. He was just content. He made his money, and he was done.
Okay. Other than what you guys covered, I would say I just want to see consistency out of Plumlee, being able to rebound. And then Al-Farouq Aminu, I know basically the last 11 games of the season last year, he started at power forward. They won 8 of those going into the playoffs. He defended Blake Griffin, did a good job on Blake Griffin, and then he had to defend Draymond Green. Did solid job holding his own there. His versatility is the key because he can defend the perimeter and he can defend inside. The big thing for him on offense is, can he improve on the 36% three-point shooting and be able to kind of have the other team's power forwards, like if a Dirk Nowitzki's guarding him, Dirk is not coming all the way out to the three-point line consistently, chasing them all around. So he's able, if he can, kind of knock down that shot, he can definitely do that. And then on the defensive side of the ball, he allowed the Blazers to switch more freely on the pick and roll, so because he can stay with the quicker guard. So that's going to be the key, just being consistent there. And then I really look for a big year out of Allen Crabbe. I think he's going to take a big leap forward and put himself on the map and kind of be right there in the discussion for one of the most improved players this season. Let's hope so, because the contract, 4 years, $70 million.
I have to make a change. I was wrong with my prediction for this team. I've got them 7th because I got Minnesota 6th.
Okay.
I got to put Portland at 7th because I am sticking with my Minnesota Timberwolves. 6th.
We're going to get comments from the Portland fans for sure on that one. So.
Yeah, let it bring it on. They're going to be good defensively. They're going to be better than Portland defensively.
All right, we'll see. All right, so last question, Keith. Give me a bold prediction for the Blazers this year.
If he doesn't start too many games, Evan Turner wins 6th Man of the Year.
Nice.
Okay. Gonzo, give me a bold prediction.
I got 2 and 1 actually. My bold prediction is going to be the Portland Trailblazers will finish the season as the 3rd seed in the Western Conference, and C.J. McCollum will be an All-Star.
Nice.
Okay. Matt.
So I don't know how bold this is. Maybe it's a little bold considering what the depth is of players in the Western Conference, but I'm going to say Damian Lillard gets voted in by the fans, starts alongside Stephen Curry in the All-Star game.
Okay. All right. Well, that was mine. So.
Oh, man. Oh, shoot. I had to really think about that one.
No, because I had him. I was going to make it bold because I was going to have him ahead of James Harden, kind of getting in as the vote. So.
Nice.
Hey, that's
and that puts him ahead of Russell Westbrook as well.
Yeah, no, Russell Westbrook, he's not going to have – he's not going to be basically he's not going to have Oklahoma City good enough to secure that spot. I don't think he gets voted in by the fans either. I think he'll make it, but I just don't think he's going to get voted in. I think Damian Lillard with his rap game and all that stuff has kind of put it out there for some of the millennials, so to speak, and – a lot of fans are like, wow, who is this guy playing in Portland? They didn't really know. And then, watching him hit a lot of clutch shots has really put him on the map. We all know, basically Houston saw firsthand. Was it 2 years ago when he hit the three? Sent him packing, so to speak. So, really could see him elevating this year, and especially with Evan Turner being there to distribute the ball, he's going to get more open looks, not having to play on the ball. So, we shall see. But that'll wrap up the show for tonight. Keith, if you could, let everybody know that's watching and listening where they can find you and just some of your latest work.
Yeah, sure. So you can find me at Real GM for written work as well as today's Fast Break, and then for Celtics-specific coverage on CelticsBlog.com, as well as if you go to my Twitter, I'm at Keith Smith NBA. I have a tweet pinned to the top of my Twitter, which has a link to my NBA salary sheets. So I know a lot of people have been using those, getting in and taking a look at the different things on there. It's got a lot more than just salary cap information. I got depth charts and draft pick debits and credits and all kinds of information on there if you're interested. So hop in there, grab that link off the top of my Twitter. And then if you get any questions, you can always hit me up with it. With best ways to get me on Twitter, get me through there. I try to do as good as I can answering questions. And then hopefully this week we're going to share some fun news for a fun project we've got coming up with today's Fast Break, and hopefully we can share that this week because we'll be kicking it off next week with the start of the season.
Nice.
Yes.
Gonzo, let the listeners know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at DJ Gonzo Star. And I got a shout out too real quick, man. Hey, I want to shout out to Keith. Hey, Keith, man, you bring so much good content to the show, man. I appreciate having you on, man. I really do.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Always happy to be here with you guys.
Absolutely. And for all the listeners or viewers that are watching, Gonzo has renounced NBA 2K and is now focusing on Madden. And he actually, I was able to check out one of his videos the other night, and he actually breaks down a lot of offense and defense in Madden play-by-play. So if you're looking for strategy for EA Sports Madden, definitely go to Gonzo's Twitch and check it out. And Matt, let the listeners know where they can find you.
They can find me on Twitter at MeekMill1981. And Gatorade, if you're listening, that's where you can find me at. Tweet me. Hit me up. Let's work it out. Yeah, there we go. See?
We got 2 for 1. We got Keith.
We're plugging you guys.
And Gatorade. So, Gatorade, if you're listening, we'd love to have you as a sponsor. We will plug you as many times as we can fit it in.
We'll plug you. We'll plug you every 5 minutes if you need it.
So, anybody that's listening or watching can find me at Pete Toll on Twitter. And basically until then, I'll be anxiously awaiting Joel Embiid's debut for the 76ers coming up. I'm excited after shedding a tear that Ben Simmons is probably out for a while.
But you got Joel Embiid, who's going to be a better player.
Yeah, let's hope so. So until then, everybody can go to our YouTube page. Please subscribe to the page if you haven't already. Like our videos. Leave us a comment underneath each video. That way we can answer any questions anybody has, any suggestions, anything like that. You can go to iTunes, download us under podcast, Unquestionably Raw Podcast. Please leave us a 5-star review. And just want to let everybody know we have Keith coming back on tomorrow evening. We're going to be previewing the Utah Jazz at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then Wednesday evening, we're going to be previewing the Memphis Grizzlies at 7 p.m. Eastern. So look out for those. And until next time, thanks for watching and thanks for listening to the Unquestionably Raw Podcast.